My name's Aaron Richmond. He's Connor. You're listening to 87.1 Caroline Radio, KCGM Bakersfield. We'll be right back.
We are number one for your variety. We are 87.1 Caroline Radio.
Welcome back, listener. How are you? My name's Aaron Richmond. This is the Aaron's Opinion podcast, brought to you on wherever you get your podcasts, or you can listen right here on 87.1 Caroline Radio, KCGN Bakersfield, your home for all your variety hits. This evening, we're joined by a man named Connor. He's from Scotland. And in part one, if you're just jumping onto the station now, he was telling us about the great and important work that he does helping to blind people in his community who also happen to be deaf. I'm fascinated by it, and I appreciate it with all my heart. So you can, if you're listening on the podcast, you can just rewind and hear part one. But now we're to part two. Recently, I'm on YouTube now, or this podcast is on YouTube. You can search Aaron's Opinion. And if you want more information, I'd be happy to share it with you. But we're on Twitter. We're everywhere. Anyway, YouTube can be a really interesting platform to share your content with the world. First of all, how did you get into YouTube yourself? And tell our listeners more about the goals of your channel and some of the points that you've been making. As I said, your first video, you introduced it. Your second video, you talked about dating. If you want, you can talk about that or not. That's your choice. And then part three, you talked about your use of the cane. So you can talk about all of that, some of that, or a mixture of all of that. All right, talk about YouTube, please. Go ahead.
Cool. Okay, so using YouTube, I've just recently came onto YouTube for the reason being that I feel as if there should be more awareness being spread about being visually impaired and about blindness, because I feel as if there's not enough out there just now. A lot of people are still, they don't have a good understanding about being visually impaired, especially people who are sighted.
Exactly. That's exactly the way that I describe it, and that's exactly why I created this podcast, because, I feel there's just not enough content that really explains it in a way that everyone can kind of relate to it and make it tangible for people. That's exactly right, Connor. Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of the reason why I've just started to make those videos, to try and spread that bit of awareness and just make people have that bit more of an understanding about what it's like to live with low vision or being visually impaired. So my first video that I done was just a bit of a kind of introduction about myself, just explaining the conditions of my eyes and obviously the being born premature, that I have pathological myopia, the astigmatism. I was also diagnosed with Marfan syndrome, which is affecting the connective tissues in my eyes. Also went on to explain that I'm at a really high risk of retinal detachment due to the condition of my eyes, because the eye is stretching and stretching and the layers in my eye are becoming thinner and thinner. That I also get a lot of the symptoms of retinal detachment, like I'll have the flashing lights all the time, and I'll get the kind of black floaters that kind of float about, get a lot of that. So that has to get monitored quite regularly, just so that my retinas don't become detached, and if they do, then it can get treated. I also kind of went into the fact that I'm extremely photophobic. I have to wear sunglasses quite a lot, like even indoors, outdoors. But I get really, really sore eyes if it's really sunny, or if it's really bright. I just can't see anything, because the light just totally blinds me, and hence why I have to wear the sunglasses. But yeah, that was kind of like the kind of first video that I done, was just kind of introducing all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, and that's what I was wondering about when I was mentioning how I don't really get that whole low vision. I get that. I get why the technology is there to an extent, but why it doesn't hold any interest for me personally, as I feel. Yeah, I guess I feel that it would be a strain on my eyes. I don't like to strain my eyes to see stuff.
Yeah.
You know. So I think that, in a sense, that's important to try not to strain, if you cannot see something. I mean, that is, by the way, that is totally my opinion. That's not a fact. But my opinion of it is, if we can't see stuff, let's not strain, because eyes are muscles. And by the way, eyes are incredibly sensitive. It is by far I would say, in my opinion, one of the body's most sensitive organs. So, all right. And then, what was your takeaway point from your opening video where you kind of introduce yourself there?
Just basically to let people know just a bit about me and the conditions that I have and how it affects me. I also kind of went into explaining how I see. Like, even with my glasses on, things are still out of focus and things are still blurred. Although glasses do help to a degree, they don't help a whole lot. They do make things that little bit sharper. But again, I'm still very much visually impaired with them on. So yeah, it was just to kind of give a wee sort of description about myself and my conditions and how it affects me.
Excellent. Okay. Now, I did watch the second video.
Mm-hmm.
You may, if you want, you can talk about it if you want.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the second video that I done was quite a long one. It went on for about 20 minutes long. But that was basically just discussing what it's like to be in a relationship, having low vision, and all that kind of stuff. So basically, I am a gay man, and I was with guys in the past, and some of them were accepting of it, but there was one guy in particular who just was not, I wouldn't say accepting, but just not understanding. Like in the video, I told a story about how one day we went a walk along the beach because it was a nice day.
Oh, yeah.
And because it was really sunny, like, it was affecting my eyes because it was really bright, so I couldn't see this guy coming towards us on a bike. So my partner at the time had to physically grab me and pull me so the bike didn't hit me. And he started to make all these kinds of comments, like, did you not see that bike coming? And I can't believe you couldn't see it. Is your eyesight really that bad? And it did kind of hurt, the fact that this was a person that was supposed to love me and care for me, and they would say kind of hurtful things, and he would like make comments about the thickness of my lenses because I've got pretty thick lenses on my glasses. He would say some really hurtful stuff. Which also led to I go on to the video saying how being visually impaired has affected my mental health. Over the years, I've suffered a lot with like the depression and the anxiety and the panic attacks, all that kind of stuff as well, because I go into saying how vision loss is like a form of grief. It takes you a while to adapt to it and to adjust, especially if you do lose your sight later on in life. It can be quite mentally frustrating, having to like learn to adapt. But yeah, I also say in the video about how some people can be quite ignorant, you know, like, because in my experience anyway, I go on saying like, sometimes I'll trip up and I'll walk into things and I'll like fall over and all that kind of stuff, because sometimes I can't like see obstacles on the ground. And I've had a lot of people making really harsh remarks, you know, due to that fact. And yeah, I kind of went into detail in the video just saying how it has affected my mental health over the years. You know, which obviously now I am in a better place now. But there was a time where it was hard for me to obviously accept the fact that I just can't see very well. And there's not really much they can do for it. And obviously it didn't help when I was in relationships where people were kind of making fun of the fact that I couldn't really see very well. You know, it's just one of those things that kind of happened, but it's made me a stronger person, because I'm now at a point in my life. I'm 27-year-old, and I'm just at a point now where if people don't accept me for me and who I am, and if they don't accept the fact that I have low vision, then they can just walk out the door. You know, I have no time for them in my life. You know, I want to be with somebody that accepts me for me, that accepts the fact that I've got low vision, you know, and will be there to support me and help me when in need, you know. So that's kind of what the second video was all about, kind of thing.
And just a comment. So I mean, you know, I'm straight, and I've never had a relationship before, but I totally get the point. Whether in your case, whether you're gay, or for me, I'm straight. Either way, if you're blind, having a relationship with anyone else is really tough and really challenging. So I totally get what you're saying, mate, and I think it's I think you're in the right. You're 100% in the right. And if you're, you know, if you're with a guy who's, you know, just being a jerk, then yeah, they should just get lost.
Yeah,
that's kind of, you know, that's kind of how I am with society too. I have found that even in the United States, you personally wouldn't be surprised, but in the United States, we have a lot of problems, in my opinion, with ignorance and intentional disrespect and discrimination. It's really quite a severe problem that that, in my opinion, our country and society tolerates in the United States for some reason. But yeah, I mean, if someone's got a problem with me, that's their problem.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's how I view it too. You don't like Aaron's opinion? Good. Go listen to something else.
Yeah.
But that's exactly the attitude you should have about that. And I hope my hope for you is that you find someone, whoever they are, who is normal and understands. And in this day and age, whether in your case, whether you're gay, or in my case, I'm straight, you know, if either one of us could find one person that cared even the tiniest bit, or understood a little, even one tiny bit, again, that would mean the world. That would mean a million. So I completely got it. I completely got your point that you were making. But there are incredibly ignorant and belligerent people really in every country. But I do think that today it's getting worse and worse, you know, as people live, you know, more independently and live more on their phones. I think people's ability to understand others has really declined, I think, a lot.
But also there's